Your dog is lying next to you right now. Or maybe they followed you into the kitchen 5 minutes ago. Or they're pressed against your leg under the desk. Or staring at you from across the room with that look you've never quite been able to explain. You've seen it 1,000 times. The lean, the follow, the stare. The way they settle beside you at the end of every single day. You call it loyalty, affection, maybe just habit. But what if none of those words are right? What if every one of those moments, the lean, the stare, the follow, the tail wag that only goes one direction when they see you, is the output of a single system? A system that took 30,000 years to build, written not in behavior, but in DNA, and one that science has only recently learned to read. Most videos about dog love give you a list, 14 signs, 10 ways, a checklist of cute behaviors with a fun fact attached to each one. But when behavioral scientists studied these signs, not one by one, but together, they found something that changed everything. These aren't separate behaviors, they're symptoms, outputs of one underlying system. A system that psychologists recognized immediately, because they'd been studying it in humans for 60 years. In our last video, we decoded the invisible language your dog speaks, 4 channels of communication built by evolution. Today, we go deeper, because that language exists for a reason, and the reason is written into their genes. In the 1960s, psychologist Mary Ainsworth designed what became the most important experiment in attachment psychology, the strange situation. She observed how infants respond when their primary caregiver leaves the room, when a stranger enters, and when the caregiver returns. The pattern was clear. Securely attached infants explore when the caregiver is present. They show distress when the caregiver leaves. And they show joy, not just relief, but joy, when the caregiver returns. This became the gold standard for measuring attachment. For decades, it was used exclusively on humans. Then, in 2013, researchers at Eötvös-Loránd University in Budapest did something no one had done before. They adapted this exact protocol, the same room, the same structure, the same conditions, for dogs. And what they found stopped them in their tracks. The behavioral pattern was indistinguishable. Not similar, not analogous, indistinguishable. Dogs explored more when their owner was present, showed distress with a stranger, and the reunion, the full-body, tail-spinning, face-licking explosion when their owner walked back through the door, followed the exact same neurochemical signature as an infant reunited with their mother. Psychologists had spent 60 years studying this pattern in humans, and here it was, perfectly replicated, in dogs. What they were seeing wasn't loyalty, wasn't habit, wasn't trained behavior. It was secure attachment, and it expressed itself through 3 distinct manifestations. The first manifestation is the one you see every single day but have never had a name for. When Eötvös-Loránd researchers put dogs through the strange situation protocol, they measured something specific. Dogs explored more, moved further, investigated more when their owner was in the room. The moment the owner left, exploration dropped. With the stranger present, it dropped further. In attachment psychology, this is called the secure base effect. The attachment figure's presence doesn't just feel nice. It activates a signal in the brain that says, it's safe to explore. Remove the figure, remove the signal. And this is where it gets personal. Your dog follows you from room to room, kitchen, bathroom, office. You've probably called it cleanliness. Maybe you've joked about not being able to use the bathroom alone. But that behavior has a name in attachment science: proximity maintenance. It's the primary behavioral output of secure attachment, the drive to stay close to the one being whose presence means safety. Your dog doesn't follow you because they want something. They follow you because your presence activates the safe to explore signal in their brain. Remove yourself, and the signal goes quiet. They're not being needy, they're maintaining proximity to their attachment figure. The way an infant crawls back to their mother every few minutes. Same system, same drive. Now think about leaning. Your dog presses their body against your leg, against your side on the couch, and something happens that neither of you consciously registers. Researchers measuring cortisol levels in dog-owner pairs found that physical contact, leaning, pressing, resting against, triggers a simultaneous drop in stress hormones. In both species, at the same time. Your cortisol falls, theirs falls. Heart rate variability shifts toward parasympathetic activation, the branch of the nervous system responsible for rest, recovery, and safety. When your dog leans against you, 2 nervous systems from 2 different species synchronize. This is the same regulatory mechanism that activates when an infant presses against their mother's chest. Co-regulation, not comfort, not habit, a biological event. And then there's sleep. Your dog has access to every warm spot in the house, the sunny patch on the floor, the radiator, a perfectly good dog bed you spent too much money on. If warmth was all they wanted, they have options. But every night they choose you. They settle beside you, or on you, at the moment of greatest vulnerability. In attachment theory, this isn't pack behavior. It isn't temperature regulation. It's proximity maintenance during the state when the organism is most defenseless. They're not seeking warmth. They're seeking their attachment figure during their most vulnerable hours. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic and Canisius College found something counterintuitive. Owners who sleep with their dogs report feeling more rested despite measurable sleep disruptions. The explanation? Co-regulation. The same parasympathetic activation, the attachment system running quietly through the night. And one more behavior you've seen 100 times. You're on a walk. Your dog runs ahead, sniffs a bush, chases a squirrel, and then stops, turns around, looks at you, just for a second, then goes back to exploring. In attachment psychology, this is called visual checking. Infants do the exact same thing. Crawl away from their mother, then look back to verify the secure base is still there. If the mother is present, exploration continues. If the mother has moved, the infant returns. Your dog does this on every walk. Every time they glance back, the attachment system is running a check. Is my safe person still there? Confirmed. Safe to keep exploring. Following. Leaning. Sleeping. Checking. 4 behaviors that look completely different on the surface, but underneath, they serve the exact same function. Maintaining proximity to the one being their brain is wired to need. Not want. Need. In 2015, researcher Miho Nagasawa and her team published a study in the journal Science, one of the most prestigious scientific journals in the world, that revealed something extraordinary about the way dogs look at you. When you and your dog lock eyes, something happens in both brains simultaneously. Oxytocin, the neurochemical your brain releases when you feel bonded to someone, the same molecule that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn for the first time, surges. In your brain, and in theirs. But here's what makes this remarkable. It creates a loop. Your oxytocin rises, which changes your facial expression and vocal tone, which your dog reads, which raises their oxytocin, which changes their behavior toward you, which raises yours again. Researchers call it a positive feedback loop. In attachment science, it has another name: bonding. And until this study, this specific loop, mutual gaze triggering bilateral oxytocin release, had only ever been documented in one context: mother and infant. Your dog didn't learn to do this. This gaze oxytocin loop was built by co-evolution, wired into the space between your species and theirs over thousands of generations. And it activates every time your eyes meet. Now consider facial expression. Japanese scientists at Azabu University measured dogs' facial movements in response to different people. And they found something specific. Dogs show significantly more facial expression. Eyebrow raises, ear movements, mouth opening, when looking at their owner compared to a stranger. This isn't universal social behavior. It's targeted communication, directed at the attachment figure. Your dog's face literally moves differently when they're looking at you, and their tail tells the same story. Research on tail wagging direction revealed a neurological asymmetry. When a dog wags more to the right, it reflects left brain activation, the hemisphere associated with positive, approach-oriented emotion. When they wag left, right brain, withdrawal, caution. The strongest rightward wag, the strongest positive neurological response, was triggered not by food, not by a familiar dog, not by a toy, by the owner. Your dog's brain lights up asymmetrically when they see you. You produce the strongest positive neural signature in their entire social world. And then there's licking. You might think of it as grooming or excitement, but licking is an attachment-maintained behavior that traces directly back to puppyhood. Mother dogs lick their puppies. It's one of the earliest bonding behaviors in a dog's life. The contact, the warmth, the chemical exchange. Your dog is 3, 5, maybe 10 years old, and they still do what they did as a newborn with their mother. Because in their attachment system, you occupy that slot. You are in the position their mother once held, and the behavior persists because the attachment persists. Every signal, the gaze, the face, the tail, the tongue, isn't random communication. It's attachment-specific, directed at one being, amplified by one presence, yours. Picture this. You walk in the door after a 10-hour shift. Before you've even put down your bag, 15 pounds of pure joy is already orbiting your legs, tail spinning, body wiggling, a sound that's somewhere between a cry and a song. You think it's just excitement, but something specific is happening in their brain at that exact moment. Researchers at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences measured what happens inside a dog during reunion. Oxytocin surges, cortisol drops, within seconds, not minutes, seconds. That explosion at the door isn't personality, it's neurochemistry, and it follows the exact same pattern as an infant reunited with their mother after separation. Now here's a test you can run tonight. Feed your dog. Wait for them to finish. They're full. No biological need for anything else. Watch what they do next. Most dogs will walk away from the empty bowl, cross the room, and come to you. Not to the door, not to their bed, to you. In attachment theory, this is called non-instrumental proximity seeking. They don't want anything from you. They want to be near you. The food drive is gone. The attachment drive remains. That moment, full stomach, zero need, and they still choose you. That's the attachment blueprint in its purest form. And then there are the gifts. A dog that brings you their favorite toy is performing an attachment behavior documented in only one other context. Human children sharing treasures with their parents. Not with strangers, not with siblings, with their primary attachment figure. And one more, your dog lets you touch the top of their head. Head contact triggers defensive instincts in most dogs. It's a vulnerability point. The fact that your dog overrides this, lowers their skull and leans in, is a trust surrender reserved exclusively for the attachment figure. Not earned by food, not trained. Granted by the attachment system to one being. Reunion joy. Post-feeding choice. Gift giving. Trust surrender. 4 behaviors that seem completely unrelated until you see the system. They all point to one being. The attachment figure. You. Here's what stops researchers in their tracks. When they overlay the behavioral data, proximity maintenance, communication signaling, reunion response, separation distress, the pattern is identical. Not similar, not analogous, identical. To Ainsworth's secure attachment in human infants. Your dog doesn't love you like a friend. They don't love you like a pack member. In every measurable behavioral and neurochemical dimension, your dog is attached to you, like a child is attached to their parent. The same system, the same chemistry, the same behavioral pattern. The bond you feel, the one people dismiss as just a pet thing, it activates the same oxytocin pathways, produces the same cortisol patterns, follows the same behavioral sequence as the most fundamental bond in human psychology. This isn't metaphor. This is data. You are not their owner, in their brain, in their chemistry, in every system that attachment science measures. You are their safe person. Researchers ran the same strange situation test with wolves. Not wild wolves, wolves raised by humans from birth. Hand-raised, bottle-fed, socialized daily. The attachment pattern didn't appear. No secure base effect. No differential reunion response. Nothing. The attachment system isn't a canine trait. It's a dog trait. Something that didn't exist in the wolf ancestor. Something that was added, by domestication, over 30,000 years. In 2017, geneticist Bridget von Holt at Princeton University found where the change happened. Chromosome 6, a region called Williams-Buren. In humans, structural changes in this exact region cause a condition characterized by extreme sociability, zero stranger anxiety, and compulsive friendliness toward everyone. In dogs, compared to wolves, this same region shows significant structural variation. 30,000 years ago, wolves and humans began living together. Over thousands of generations, natural selection didn't just make dogs tamer, it rewrote their genome. Specifically, the part that controls social bonding, the part that makes attachment possible. And the evidence goes deeper than genetics. In 1914, workers quarrying basalt near Bonn, Germany, uncovered a burial site dating back 14,000 years. Inside, a man, a woman, and a dog. Bone analysis revealed the dog had survived canine distemper as a puppy, a disease requiring weeks of intensive care. 14,000 years ago, in the middle of the last ice age, a human nursed a sick dog back to health. And when they died, they were buried together. The attachment blueprint was already running. Dogs didn't learn to love you. Evolution took the wolf's cautious independence and replaced it with an attachment system, written in DNA, pointed at one species. And in case there's any doubt, neuroscientist Gregory Burns at Emory University put dogs in fMRI machines. No sedation, completely voluntary. He tested 5 scents: the dog's own, a stranger's, a familiar dog's, an unfamiliar dog's, and their owners. Strongest activation, not at food, not at other dogs, at the owner's scent. In the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, the region where preference can't be performed or faked. You. Across this series, we've mapped the science of your bond from every angle. The distress when you leave, the surrender when they sleep beside you, the invisible language they speak every day. And now, the system underneath all of it, the attachment blueprint, written in their genes, expressed in their chemistry, measured in their brain. The lean, the gaze, the tail wag. The reunion explosion, the quiet sigh when they settle beside you. None of it is random. All of it is blueprint, written over 30,000 years, in every cell, in every generation, for you. So look at your dog right now, the one lying next to you, or at the door, or pressed against your leg. Every behavior you see, the proximity, the gaze, the lean, the reunion, is the output of 30,000 years of genetic engineering. Not random, not cute, not just what dogs do. It's an attachment system that evolution built for one purpose. And in the middle of that system, at the center of every pathway, every molecule, every neural preference, is you. Not because you trained them, not because you feed them, because 30,000 years ago, evolution decided that dogs and humans would need each other. And it wrote that need into every cell. You are their safe person, and their genome proves it. Which moment with your dog feels different now? The lean? The stare? The way they check on you during a walk? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if someone in your life has ever said, "It's just a dog," send them this. Let the science speak. Next time, we go somewhere unexpected.